So I'm going to talk a little bit about the electoral campaign. We all know that as a party of struggle, our priority is to be in the streets. Our priority is to be organizing our communities and at our workplaces, and that's where change has come about in the past, and that's where we believe it will come from in the future. So our intention when we enter the 2012 presidential and vice presidential campaign is not to promote the idea that social change comes about because of the election of certain politicians. We don't believe that at all. Fundamentally, the capitalist electoral system is a sham. Campaign costs for both Democrats and Republicans are expected to exceed $2 billion this year. Though they're wealthy individually, there's simply no way that any candidate could raise those kind of funds without the support of the ruling class. This is an election of, by, and for the rich. The system is rigged to ensure the domination of a tiny ruling class of Wall Street bankers, corporations, and big business owners over the vast majority of people in the United States, over the working class. So we're entering the electoral arena to give voice to all of the struggles that we're engaged in the streets, at the barricades, in our schools, in our workplaces, and in our communities. We don't hold any illusions about the electoral system, but it's one more way to reach out to the working class with our program, a program for real revolutionary change. We believe in utilizing any and every arena of struggle. Millions will vote, and those who do not directly participate are forced to listen closely, because the corporate media focuses on the elections constantly. We, as a party, believe, as Lenin did, that with very few exceptions, any revolutionary party should utilize any and every opportunity to reach the working class. So with that in mind, I'm going to share with you guys a statement that I wrote recently that went out for the campaign a couple days ago. You might have seen it. The statement says that recently, the Pew Center for Research published a poll in which they found that 49% of young people in the US favor socialism, while only 43% reported viewing it unfavorably. The report also revealed that African Americans favor socialism at a rate of 55% to 36%. This news seems to have taken some of the capitalist media by surprise, but should it? Our experiences and our conditions shape our consciousness. And in our relatively short lifetimes, the experiences of my generation have certainly run contrary to the myth that the capitalist free market is a force for peace, freedom, or prosperity. In the last 10 years, we have seen endless wars that were premised on lies and driven by profit. Weapons contractors, financiers, oil executives, and the politicians and generals who sit on the boards of these major corporations have literally made a killing through record profits from the death and destruction they've allowed to wreak abroad. Millions of people across the country, the majority of them young, have marched against these wars, and if we lived in a true democracy, if the decision to pursue these wars had ever been brought before the people, there is no doubt that our brothers and sisters in uniform would already be home. The cost of these wars is rarely discussed in the mainstream media, but we feel it every day when we look for government services that we need and find that they've been cut for lack of funds. Many of us are surprised to find ourselves in need of government assistance at all. We all grew up hearing that if we studied hard and worked hard, we would succeed. So those of us who could went to college despite rising education costs, shouldering crippling loans for the promise of a good job and a foundation for a good life. And after graduating, we found that the free market had no intention of keeping that promise. Employment opportunities are declining. Unemployment in the country is officially at 8.6%, but in reality far higher. And there are fewer jobs today than there were 2 years ago. It is not just the unemployed who are suffering. Many of us are underemployed, meaning we work but we do not earn enough to survive. Many of us take temporary work or work part-time, taking jobs with no benefits or internships with no pay, because the so-called job creators have eliminated decent paying positions, knowing that they can squeeze more labor and more profit from the standing army of the unemployed. Our wages are going down while the cost of living goes up. The explosive growth of the Occupy Wall Street movement has forced the mainstream media to acknowledge this truth. Young people have been sold out by this system, and we are becoming more and more willing to fight back. We want peace, we want equality, we want jobs, and we want the wealth that our labor creates to be used to provide the things that our people need. We want socialism. Obama cannot resolve the crisis of capitalism. Many people thought that the election of an African American president would result in better lives for African Americans in the US. But Obama's election coincided with a crisis of capitalism that no capitalist leader, not even Obama, can resolve. The official unemployment rate for Black youth is at 41.3%. Predatory lending and the housing crisis led to high rates of foreclosures for many families in the US, but the rates for African Americans were astronomical. Homeownership has always been important in our community because it's something that has historically been denied to us by legal and extra-legal means. While the segregationist laws that kept homeownership out of our reach for so long have been overturned, the laws of the free market allow the banks to kick us out of the homes that we have purchased. Historically, economic and social gains made by African Americans were never a natural byproduct of the free market, but always the result of a struggle that forced reforms in that market and government intervention in that market. We have struggled for centuries to bring ourselves closer to equality, but there will never be full equality under capitalism, a system that must keep workers divided, that must keep some super exploited in order to drive everyone's wages down so that the capitalists can profit. Conservatives these days are afraid that capitalism has become a dirty word, and they're right to be afraid, though it certainly is not just an issue of semantics. We have seen the devastation wrought by capitalism, and we are no longer accepting that this is the way it has to be. This past year, we have also seen our sisters and brothers in Tunisia and in Egypt fight and win. In the Occupy movement and beyond, we are developing strategies and tactics for our struggle right here. It is a new year, and we will fight for a new system, one that offers us true equality, decent paying jobs, education, housing, healthcare, all those things that our class needs and deserves. Join us in the fight for socialism. So that's the statement. So you can see, brothers and sisters, this is not a normal election campaign. The PSL is entering the election campaign, and I'm proud to be on the ticket with my comrade Jadi Osorio to be a voice of the people and to bring the spirit of struggle everywhere throughout the country. We hope that you will join with us and participate in the campaign. In the days ahead, we're going to need every comrade to become a voice of the program, become a volunteer in spreading the message, and join with us in this next exciting period. It's going to take a lot of work to get this campaign off the ground, and I hope that everybody here is ready to pitch in and help us make it a success. I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and with connecting with like-minded people across the country. Like I said, we're in an exciting period in history. The objective conditions are becoming increasingly ripe for revolutionary struggle. It is up to us to build the party, to build this campaign, and to turn that struggle into a revolution that brings about better conditions for all.